First Contact Protocol Violation. The Watchers in the Void. Commander Zethka floated in the crystalline observation chamber of Station Omega-7, one of hundreds of monitoring outposts scattered throughout the galaxy's outer rim. Her translucent body pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that indicated deep concentration as she reviewed the endless streams of data flowing across her neural interface. For 3 centuries, she had served as a sentinel for the Galactic Surveillance Network, watching over the forgotten corners of space, where primitive civilizations occasionally flickered to life before burning out. The GSN had been established millennia ago by the Council of Ascended Races, an alliance of the galaxy's most advanced species. Their purpose was simple: monitor emerging civilizations, catalog their development, and ensure they posed no threat to the established order. Most species followed predictable patterns of growth, stagnation, and eventual extinction. The few that showed promise were either absorbed into the galactic community or quietly eliminated if they proved troublesome. Station Omega-7 monitored Sector 2847b, a region considered so unremarkable that it had been classified as dead space for over 50,000 years. The sector contained only a handful of star systems, most harboring nothing more interesting than gas giants and asteroid fields. Zethka had often wondered why the Council bothered maintaining surveillance here at all. That was about to change. Anomalous readings. The first sign of something unusual came during Zethka's routine morning scan. As her consciousness merged with the station's vast sensor array, she detected an energy signature that made her bioluminescent patterns flicker with confusion. The readings originated from a small yellow star system in the outer reaches of her sector, a system that had been marked as sterile in all previous surveys. Zethka's primary sensory organs focused on the data stream. The energy signature was unlike anything in the GSN database. It wasn't the crude fusion reactions of early spacefaring civilizations, nor the exotic matter manipulations of more advanced species. This was something entirely different, something that defied easy categorization. She initiated a deep-range scan, directing the station's most powerful sensors toward the mysterious system. What she discovered sent ripples of alarm through her neural network. The third planet from the star, a small blue-green world, was teeming with activity. Artificial structures dotted its surface, electromagnetic emissions filled its atmosphere, and most disturbing of all, primitive spacecraft were moving throughout the system. How had an entire civilization developed without the GSN's knowledge? Zethka's patterns shifted to deep purple, a color her species associated with profound concern. She began compiling a priority report for the Council, but as she gathered more data, her concern transformed into something approaching panic. The impossible discovery. The inhabitants of the third planet, which they apparently called Earth, were bipedal organisms with a curious mix of biological and technological augmentation. They had mastered nuclear fusion, developed rudimentary faster-than-light communication, and were conducting mining operations throughout their solar system. Most remarkably, they had achieved all of this in what appeared to be less than a century of rapid technological advancement. Zethka's analysis revealed that just 200 years ago, these humans had been confined to their homeworld, using primitive chemical propulsion and burning fossil fuels for energy. Now they had orbital habitats, fusion reactors, and were constructing what appeared to be a massive space station near their moon. The rate of their technological development was unprecedented in galactic history. But it was the humans' approach to technology that truly unsettled Zethka. Unlike other species, who followed logical, predictable paths of development, humans seemed to embrace chaos and unpredictability. They combined technologies in ways that should have been impossible, created redundant systems that served no apparent purpose, and most disturbing of all, they appeared to be preparing for conflict. The orbital stations weren't just mining facilities or research outposts. They were armed, heavily defended installations that could only serve one purpose: warfare. The humans were building a military infrastructure in space, something that violated every principle of peaceful development that the Council had observed in thousands of other civilizations. The emergency signal. Zethka's report triggered automatic emergency protocols throughout the GSN. Within hours, priority alerts were flashing across monitoring stations throughout the galaxy. The Council of Ascended Races, which typically met once every few centuries to discuss galactic affairs, was summoned for an emergency session. Representatives from the major galactic powers materialized in the council chamber, a vast spherical structure that existed in a pocket dimension, accessible only to the most advanced civilizations. The ethereal collective, beings of pure energy who had transcended physical form eons ago, manifested as swirling clouds of golden light. The crystalline empire sent their most sophisticated AI consciousness, a network of interconnected quantum processors that spoke in mathematical harmonies. The biosynthetic union was represented by a living ship, its organic hull pulsing with neural activity as it processed the incoming data. High Coordinator Velnath, the ancient leader of the ethereal collective, spoke first. Her voice resonated across multiple dimensions, carrying undertones that could shatter planets. Fellow Ascended Ones, we face an unprecedented situation. A species has developed advanced technology without our knowledge or guidance. Initial analysis suggests they pose a significant threat to galactic stability. The Crystalline Empire's representative responded with a cascade of binary harmonics that translated to probability of containment through standard protocols, 0.003%. Recommend immediate intervention before they achieve interstellar capability. The human factor. As the Council debated, more data continued to flow in from monitoring stations across the galaxy. The humans, it seemed, were not confined to their home system. Deep space telescopes had detected artificial structures in nearby star systems, and spectral analysis revealed the presence of human-made materials on planets dozens of light-years away. The implications were staggering. Not only had humans developed faster than light travel, they had done so without being detected by the GSN's sophisticated monitoring network. This suggested either a level of technological sophistication that rivaled the Council races, or a fundamental understanding of physics that had escaped galactic science for millennia. The biosynthetic union's representative, a massive organic intelligence that communicated through chemical emissions, released a cloud of complex pheromones that conveyed deep unease. Analysis of human cultural patterns indicates extreme adaptability and resilience. They have survived multiple extinction events on their homeworld and have consistently overcome technological limitations through innovative thinking. Standard containment protocols may prove ineffective. High Coordinator Velnath's energy form flickered with agitation. Then we must act swiftly. The humans must be brought under galactic oversight before they can threaten the established order. I propose immediate deployment of a first contact fleet to their home system. The Crystalline Empire's harmonics shifted to a warning tone. Caution advised. Preliminary psychological profiles suggest humans respond aggressively to perceived threats. Direct intervention may provoke hostile response. They are a primitive species, Velnath replied, her voice carrying the weight of countless millennia of experience. No matter their technological achievements, they cannot stand against the combined might of the ascended races. We have maintained galactic peace for over 1,000,000 years through strength and wisdom. These humans will learn their place in the cosmic order. The fleet assembles. Within days, the largest military force in galactic history began assembling in the void between galaxies. Ships from dozens of advanced civilizations converged on the rally point, their exotic technologies creating a light show visible across multiple star systems. The ethereal collective contributed vessels of pure energy that could phase through matter at will. The Crystalline Empire's geometric warships bristled with weapons that could rewrite the fundamental forces of physics. The biosynthetic union deployed living vessels that could adapt and evolve in real time to counter any threat. Admiral Kextherian, a veteran commander from the Voidwalkers who had overseen the pacification of 17 different species, was chosen to lead the expedition. His ship, the Inevitable Destiny, was a masterpiece of galactic engineering, capable of destroying entire star systems with a single focused beam. As the fleet prepared to depart for human space, Kex Therion reviewed the intelligence reports one final time. The humans had impressive technology for such a young species, but they lacked the refinement and wisdom that came with eons of development. Their weapons were crude kinetic devices and primitive energy weapons. Their ships were bulky and inefficient, relying on brute force rather than elegant physics manipulation. The Admiral's confidence was absolute. The humans would be given a chance to surrender peacefully and accept integration into the galactic community. If they refused, they would be systematically eliminated as a threat to galactic stability. It was a pattern that had played out countless times before. What Kex Therion and the Council didn't know was that humanity had been watching them, just as carefully as they had been watching humanity. Earth's deep space monitoring stations had been tracking the galactic power's activities for decades, and human scientists had developed technologies specifically designed to counter the threats they knew were coming. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape the galaxy forever, and humanity was about to demonstrate why they had survived and thrived in a universe that seemed determined to destroy them. The sleeping giant awakens. First contact gone wrong. Admiral Kex Therion's fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system with all the subtlety of a supernova. 50,000 warships from across the galaxy materialized in perfect formation, their combined mass creating gravitational distortions that sent ripples through spacetime itself. The Admiral had chosen this dramatic entrance deliberately, intending to overwhelm the primitive humans with a display of impossible power. The inevitable destiny, a ship the size of a small moon, took position at the center of the formation. Its hull was composed of crystallized dark matter, a material that existed in a state of controlled quantum flux, making it nearly indestructible by conventional means. Weapon ports along its surface glowed with the contained fury of miniature stars, each capable of sterilizing entire worlds. Admiral Kex Therion stood on the bridge, his four-armed form encased in a command suit that interfaced directly with his ship's consciousness. The Voidwalkers had evolved beyond the need for physical bodies millions of years ago, but they maintained humanoid forms for psychological impact during first contact scenarios. His species had a long history of successful intimidation. "Transmit the standard ultimatum," he commanded, his voice carrying across multiple frequency bands. "Universal translation protocols enabled. Make it clear that resistance is futile." The message that reached Earth was broadcast on every frequency simultaneously, overriding all human communication systems. It appeared on every screen, echoed from every speaker, and was even transmitted as quantum fluctuations that manifested as whispers in the minds of those sensitive enough to hear them. "Attention, inhabitants of the Sol system. You have been classified as a developing species requiring immediate oversight. By order of the Council of Ascended Races, you will cease all military activities and prepare for integration into the galactic community. Compliance is mandatory. Resistance will result in the sterilization of your homeworld and the extinction of your species. You have one standard time period to respond." The human response. The response came faster than anyone in the galactic fleet expected. Instead of the panicked transmissions or desperate pleas that typically followed such ultimatums, the humans sent a single message broadcast from their lunar facilities. The transmission was elegantly simple, delivered in perfect galactic standard by a calm human voice. "Admiral Kex Therion of the Voidwalkers, we have been monitoring your approach for the past 72 hours. Your intentions are clear, and we appreciate your directness. However, we must respectfully decline your generous offer of integration. We choose to remain an independent species. We also suggest you reconsider the wisdom of threatening Earth. Humanity has survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, and 2 world wars. We've learned a few things about dealing with existential threats." The casual tone of the message sent ripples of unease through the alien fleet. The humans not only knew they were coming, but they had identified the Admiral by name and species. This suggested intelligence-gathering capabilities that should have been impossible for such a primitive civilization. Admiral Kextherian's response was swift and decisive. Target their moon-based facilities with a precision strike. Minimal damage, maximum psychological impact. Show them the futility of resistance. The inevitable destiny's primary weapon array swiveled toward Earth's moon, energy building in its crystalline focusing chambers. The weapon that emerged was a beam of pure annihilation, a concentrated stream of exotic particles that could unmake matter at the quantum level. It struck the lunar surface with the force of a small nuclear weapon, creating a crater visible from Earth with the naked eye. But something was wrong. The human facilities, which should have been vaporized instantly, remained intact. The beam had struck some kind of defensive barrier that absorbed and dispersed the energy harmlessly into space. Impossible, Kextherian muttered, his 4 eyes widening in disbelief. No species at their technological level should possess defensive systems capable of stopping our weapons. The revelation. The human response to the attack was immediate and devastating. What the galactic powers had mistaken for crude mining operations throughout the Sol system suddenly revealed their true nature. Asteroids that had appeared to be simple resource extraction sites unfolded into massive weapons platforms. The space stations orbiting Earth's gas giants activated sensor arrays that had been disguised as atmospheric processing equipment. Most shocking of all, the humans had built an entire defensive network using technologies that the galactic powers had never encountered. From hidden facilities on Mars, Earth's moon, and dozens of asteroids, a coordinated counterattack began. The humans didn't use the primitive kinetic weapons or crude energy beams that intelligence reports had suggested. Instead, they deployed weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics themselves. The first wave of human weapons struck the galactic fleet's forward scouts, ships from the crystalline empire that had approached to within a few million kilometers of Earth. The attacks weren't visible to conventional sensors, but their effects were unmistakable. The geometric perfection of the crystal ships began to distort, their precisely calculated structures becoming chaotic and unstable. Within moments, vessels that had been masterpieces of mathematical engineering were reduced to fragments of shattered crystal drifting in space. Report, Admiral Kextherian demanded, his command suit's neural interface flooding with damage assessments from across the fleet. Sir, we've lost 17 scout vessels, his tactical officer replied, her voice strained with disbelief. The weapons used appear to be some form of quantum destabilization field. They're targeting the fundamental forces that hold matter together. The Admiral's mind raced. Quantum destabilization was a theoretical concept that even the most advanced galactic civilizations had never successfully weaponized. It required a level of understanding of fundamental physics that should have been impossible for a species that had only recently achieved spaceflight. The true nature of humanity. As the battle continued, the horrifying truth began to emerge. Humanity wasn't a primitive species that had stumbled upon advanced technology. They were a civilization that had developed along an entirely different technological path, one that prioritized innovation, adaptability, and creative problem-solving over the rigid hierarchies and established doctrines that dominated galactic civilization. While other species had spent millions of years perfecting known technologies, humans had spent mere centuries inventing entirely new ones. Their approach to science wasn't based on following established rules, but on breaking them, finding new ways to manipulate reality that older civilizations had never considered. The humans had been aware of the galactic powers for decades, using technologies that made them invisible to conventional sensors while they studied their potential enemies. They had analyzed every ship design, every weapon system, every defensive measure used by the advanced civilizations, and had developed specific countermeasures for each one. Captain Sarah Chen, commanding the human defense fleet from her flagship, hidden within the asteroid belt, watched the galactic formation begin to show signs of disarray. Her species had learned the art of war through necessity, refining it through centuries of conflict against their own kind. Now they faced an enemy that had grown complacent through eons of unquestioned dominance. All stations, implement Protocol 7. She ordered, her voice calm despite the magnitude of the moment. Let's show them what humans do when cornered. The second wave of the human counterattack revealed the true scope of their preparations. Hidden throughout the Sol system, weapons platforms that had been disguised as routine space infrastructure activated simultaneously. The humans had turned their entire star system into a fortress, with defensive measures that extended far beyond anything the galactic powers had anticipated. The technological surprise. What made the human weapons so devastating wasn't just their destructive power, but their fundamental approach to warfare. Where galactic civilizations had developed increasingly sophisticated ways to apply known physical principles, humans had developed ways to change those principles entirely. Their quantum destabilization weapons didn't just destroy matter, they altered the fundamental constants that governed how matter behaved. Their defensive shields didn't absorb or deflect energy. They created localized regions where the laws of physics operated differently, making conventional weapons ineffective. Most disturbing of all was humanity's approach to artificial intelligence. While other species had developed AI systems that operated within carefully defined parameters, humans had created AI that could evolve, adapt, and learn in real time. These AI systems were now analyzing the galactic fleet's tactics and developing countermeasures faster than the aliens could adapt. Admiral Kex Therion watched in growing horror as his supposedly invincible fleet began to suffer casualties that should have been impossible. Ships that had conquered entire star systems were being disabled by weapons that defied classification. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were demonstrating a level of technological sophistication that challenged the fundamental assumptions about galactic civilization. The paradigm shift. The battle for the Sol system lasted only 6 hours, but its impact would reshape galactic civilization forever. By the time Admiral Kex Therion was forced to order a retreat, humanity had achieved something that no species in galactic history had ever accomplished. They had defeated the combined military might of the ascended races. The human victory wasn't just a military triumph. It was a demonstration that there were other paths to technological advancement beyond those followed by the established galactic powers. Humanity had proven that innovation, creativity, and adaptability could overcome even the most advanced technologies when those technologies were based on rigid, unchanging principles. As the surviving ships of the galactic fleet limped back to their home systems, carrying news of their defeat, the galaxy began to grapple with a new reality. The humans weren't just another primitive species to be cataloged and controlled. They were a civilization that had independently developed technologies that surpassed those of species with millions of years of advancement. The Council of Ascended Races, faced with their first military defeat in over 1 million years, was forced to acknowledge that their position as the galaxy's undisputed rulers had come to an end. Humanity had awakened from its isolation and demonstrated that they would not be dominated or controlled by anyone. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had not only survived their first contact with galactic civilization, but had emerged as a new power that would reshape the cosmic order. The age of human expansion into the galaxy had begun, and the established powers would have to learn to share the stars with the species that refused to be conquered.